Hello everyone, and welcome to my new show called Becoming Non-Anonymous, where we're going to talk about turning addiction into a recovery superpower, one power tip at a time. I'm Dr. Lyn, and I am about to celebrate 13 years clean and sober. And I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate than to share with all of you what has worked for me over the last 13 years. So in this show, you're going to see my influence of being a university teacher and researcher. You're going to see my training in Tai Chi and yoga and drumming, the 12 steps, the life recovery Bible, songs that have meant so much to me, and other people who've said something to me in a meeting or people that I've met that have really changed my recovery. And what that's helped me to do is to get through not just the good times, but to have a joyful recovery. Maybe more importantly, how to get through those tough challenges, right? And it hasn't been all unicorns and rainbows for me, but every time I've gone through the challenge, I haven't done it alone, and I have come out stronger on the other side. I may not know it at the time of difficulty, but in that pain, later, always, some purpose is revealed to me. So each show is going to be really, really short, about 15, 20 minutes, and we're going to do two things, just two. I'm going to keep it simple. So the first thing we're going to do is actually do something. I want you to have that takeaway. Whenever I hear a speaker, I listen to my preacher, or I read a book, I want a tangible tool. So I'm going to show you some type of breathing technique, some kind of movement from Tai Chi, or some kind of pose in yoga that can really help our mental and physical health, maybe some meditation, and then some rhythm. How can we change our brain? Your brain is plastic. It can change. And if anybody ever tells you you can't change, you tell them to tune into Dr. Lyn's show, because I have changed. I am a witness. I've seen people change. And creating a new neural pathway so you get off that trauma, that addiction track, and move on over to the healing recovery track in your brain. So we'll do that. And then I'm going to give you a power tip. So where did I get a power tip from? So it comes from the power trip that I happened to be on when I was actively drinking every day. I somehow thought I didn't have a problem, or I had power over my drinking, because I was got a master's and a PhD, and I was a top female triathlete. I had my marriage, and then I didn't, right? Things started to fall apart. But my bottom is going to be different from anybody else's bottom. But I really got on kind of an ego trip. I tried for a whole year on my own to quit drinking or control it every week, and I failed miserably. So I realized that my ego had gotten in the way. And one of the tips that I learned in AA is ego, E-G-O, stood for edging God out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had been playing God in my life and in my family's life. And wow, what a humbling lesson that was. So I am dropping that R out of the trip, that ego trip, and turning it into a superpower tip. All right, so I am that little teacher in me. So the second thing we're going to do in every show is I'm going to give you some kind of how-to. And I might be making some kind of companion little workbook that'll go with this show so that you can take notes if you're anything like me, or to have that reference. But I know a lot of people don't want to read anymore. So even that book will be just a quick little, almost like a weekly something that you can go, ooh, I want to try that trip or tip out, right? So some of the topics that I'm going to cover is like, How the heck do you live sober and clean in a drinking, drug world where everything is so easy to get, right? How do you do that? And how do you know if you're practicing self-care or are you being selfish? Oh, how about getting a sober makeover? I've met some people in my profession that clean looks so good on them. How do you do that, right? And how about the God addiction collision? What happens when grace just starts to cover you in, cover that addiction? And then I've come up with a few of my own, how to exercise your forgiveness muscle. Another one called Bookends of Gratitude. And then my favorite is Free Phobia. And that has to do with how you use fear to help in your recovery. That's a little teaser for you. So, how about I show you our first power tip? So I'm going to come back over here. And I have written some notes for you, so I'm going to put them up here on our board. And our first tip that we're going to do, number one, is beyond the deep breath. So I don't know about you, but if I'm in trouble or something's going on or I'm in pain, a doctor, a therapist, my husband will say, just take a deep breath. Well, that does work because it shifts your focus, lowers your blood pressure, but there's gotta be more than just the old deep breath. Well, there is. So part one in Beyond the Deep Breath, I'm gonna show you two breathing techniques that are much more focused. So this has to do with shutting one nostril and breathing out of the other for 3 minutes. So let me come back here and show you the first one. It's called Shut the Right Nostril. So you literally take your finger and you close the right nostril. And I'm going to show you, if you're a mouth breather like me, take your tongue, put it on the roof of your mouth behind your front teeth. Just gently lay it there and close your lips. That will help change your idea of mouth breathing to nose breathing. So once you do that, you close the right nostril, just seal it off, and breathe in and out of the left for 3 minutes. Now, if you're anything like me in recovery, I'm like, no, 3 minutes is too long. I want things quick. I want them fast. Yeah, we're shifting that focus over to this recovery superpower idea, right? So let's say your left nostril's clogged. What I want you to do then is lay down on your right side, let that nostril and sinus kind of clear, and then close the right nostril. And you can do that just laying down on the right side. I'll explain in part 2 how all this works, okay, with your brain and nervous system. Then let's do the opposite. You're gonna shut and seal off the left nostril, and that's gonna have you breathing in and out of the right nostril. Again, take your tongue, place it on the roof of your mouth, gently behind the front teeth, and close your lips. And that will help with breathing out of just the one nostril. If the right one's clogged, again, lay down on your left side. Let that nose passage and right sinus kind of clear. You can still do the breathing laying down on your side, or you can sit, or you can stand. So why would you do that instead of the old just take a deep breath? Well, here's why you're gonna do that. When you shut the right nostril, guess what? It helps reduce a craving. So if you're being triggered, you're getting a craving, or you're obsessed with whether that's a drink, a drug, food, whatever, this will help shift the focus, and you will be in what's called the parasympathetic mode of the autonomic central nervous system, ANS, the autonomic nervous system. All right. It also will help lower anxiety. So if you're having a panic attack, and it also just gives you more tactile. There's something else to do with your hands besides just taking a deep breath, right? There's things you can think about, and that shifts the focus away from the craving or what's making you anxious, fearful, nervous. How about that? And it just helps improve a state of being calm. What a beautiful gift the old shut in the right nostril can be. All right, let's talk about what's going on when you shut the left nostril. So the left nostril, when you do that, it helps boost your energy because it puts you into the sympathetic part of the autonomic nervous system, and that's your fight, flight, or freeze. So your blood pressure's gonna go up, blood circulation's gonna go up because it's gonna get the blood into those muscles that you need to move. It's also going to help you then have energy or power to actually move out of the situation of danger. If you run into your past drug dealer or drinking buddies or something like that, you can get yourself out of the way. All right, danger, Will Robinson kind of thing there. And also, let's say you're feeling depressed or lethargic. I don't want to go to a meeting. You know, I'm doing all this work and I'm just stuck. It's not happening fast enough. This can help motivate you to get up, even if it's just a move or change your scenery, that idea of motivation. All right. So the other thing, I want to touch back on this parasympathetic when you shut the right nostril. And that's one I've used quite a bit at the beginning. And it puts you in what's called the parasympathetic mode, that rest and digest. And what I love to compare that to is when you've eaten a big meal and you get sleepy afterwards. The calming, what's happening is the blood, your body is sending the blood from the brain down to your digestive system to help digest your meal. So you get tired, relax, you get to calm down, right? So that's kind of how that's working. And I'm trying to keep things simple, a little bit nerdy. I love science. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. I hope that gets you excited about what other topics might be coming our way. So I don't know about you, but you might be saying to yourself, Dr. Lyn, why become non-anonymous? Well, I want to tell you why. So at the beginning of my recovery, and first off, totally respect other people's anonymity. Don't get me, hear me wrong there. But I am a 12-stepper, and I learned about the Life Recovery Bible in an AA meeting. You don't have to do either of those to benefit from some of this. But the reason I became anonymous is I still felt like when I'd sneak in and out of a meeting and wouldn't tell anybody when they offered me, oh, have a glass of wine, I would say, oh, I have an allergy, or oh, I'm not drinking right now. While that worked for a while, I still felt this stigma, this shame, like guilt. Is something wrong with me? Why am I so nervous or scared I'm going to be rejected? And again, that sickness in the secret, right? And I realized 2 years ago, I got the opportunity to take the best job in the world. And I worked up in Connecticut at an organization called SCAD, where they believe in second chances, third, fourth, fifth, and they work with people in recovery. And I got to show them how to have fun, clean, and sober. And what I realized up there in Connecticut, nobody knew me. Every single person I met, I let them know I was in recovery. And all of a sudden, the shame, the sickness, everything just fell off me. Matter of fact, I was proud to be an alcoholic. What in the world is happening here? Now, it didn't happen right away. I'm about 13 years clean, right? But I was in a place, I was going to church there, Castle Church. And I was taking some of my clients to church. Come try it out. See what you think. And again, everybody in the church knew I was in recovery. All my clients knew I was in recovery. My boss, I even interviewed and told her, I'm in recovery. And again, I can't believe, I always thought people would reject me or go, oh God, why is she saying that? And the opposite happened. People were curious. Maybe for themselves or for someone they loved. I think everybody knows somebody that has an addiction, unfortunately, and that might be struggling. And I want them to know this is what we look like. This is what can happen. Now, am I like this all the time? No. But I got power tips to help me and people to help me. So I'm dedicating this show to my Connecticut SCAD sisters and brothers and my Castle Church, and especially my beautiful professor. I was calling you a professor. Pastor Adam at Castle Church. Because when I left that job, it was the hardest thing I ever did. But my family in Texas needed me. And he said, Dr. Lyn, go out there and make healing your destiny. Oh, I had a 36-hour drive back to Texas from Connecticut to think about that. And I think he planted a seed. And look at me now. Over that drive home, I got to admit, and you'll hear a tip from this famous doctor from addiction research and experience in the realm of hungry ghosts. Dr. Gabor Mate, I listened to you the whole way home and you changed what I knew about addiction. So thank you for that. I really got a lot out. And that Go Make Healing Your Destiny percolated the idea that not only was I going to be non-anonymous in Connecticut and in Texas, I'm now going to do it to anybody who watches this show, wherever you are in the world. It's okay to tell people that you're in recovery, right? And when you're not doing well in recovery. So until we meet again, this is Dr. Lyn signing out. Check me out for our next episode of Becoming Non-Anonymous, where we turn our addictive behaviors into recovery superpowers, one power tip at a time. Bye.